Hey there everyone, welcome to my weekly cook along UB Chef video. So you've now got your box all delivered to your home. Unpack it all, make sure you've got all your ingredients to hand. Have a look at the recipe cards, really easy to follow. Fabulous menu coming up. We've got lobster, we've got poached halibut, loads happening. Remember, have a look on the website for next week's menu and future menus. Recommend to your friends. Loads of new extras on the way soon, but for now, let's get cooking. As usual, we're going to start off this week's menu with our weekly bake. It's a lovely sourdough, house sourdough, with a little bit of black treacle going through there. That's going to go in the oven, in the paper, for about 8 to 10 minutes or until it's nice and hot. And then here, at the same time, you want to get your butter out. So this is just a whipped salted butter. There you go, all piped, lovely. Let's just get a little bit of extra molten salt. It's already got some on there, but I just like a nice little crunch. Let's get some of that on the top, and then very carefully onto your plate. Let that soften up. Have your dish ready, a little bit of barley or a little bit of something just to sit your bread on. This is going in the oven now, and we'll be back in about 10 minutes to slice away. So just undoing my sourdough. That treacle hits you as you unwrap it. Oh, delicious. And then I've got my butter all softened, I've got my dish ready to go. Serrated knife, really important. Hand on the top, and then slice away. Put a little cloth between your hand and the bread if it's a little too warm for you. But this way, nice and safe. And you can see those lines going through the bread. There we go, see that? Just look at that lovely crumb. You've got all that little dark patches where we've got the treacle going through it. Let's just get that all in our dish. And we are ready to start off our menu. Hope you enjoy. Really simple starter coming up for you now. This is a cannelloni of lobster. Just now we've done the mousse just with some trout. And then we've got tarragon pasta around the outside. That's going to go into a pan, simmering water, which I've just got here. Pop that in, put the lid back on, pull it just to the side. You want basically sort of roll in, simmer. 9 minutes in there will be absolutely fine. When that comes out, we're going to have a pan, a little bit of butter in there, into the pan, which I'll show you a bit later. Then your garnishes, for when we come back, let's take these out of the container. We've got a little bit of tarragon oil in there, and then this is a lovely shellfish bisque made of the lobster bones. And just in preparation, all I'm going to do is pour that into my pan. Remember, all of our bags we use are all compostable. How about that? That's going to go just next to the stove, ready for when we come back. Here we go. So, Bisque already there. I've added a tiny little bit of milk just at the end. That helps it make it nice and frothy, and get your whisk in there or your little electric bay mix. You see, get that nice little froth on there. Okay, let's come back to our cannelloni. Take the lid off carefully, and then I'm just going to lift my cannelloni out. There we go. So you can see that's all, it almost expands just with that mousse. And then, look there, got a little bit of melted butter just in the pan. All I'm going to do is take a little bit of water, that's hot water from the pan, and just have that on the stove. That's what's called a little emulsion. It's just going to help make it lovely and shiny when we put the pasta in there. Cut off the end, first of all, with one knife. With a knife, sorry. Turn your knife over, hold the end of a cling film, you see? Simple as that. Pull off the cling film. There we go. Let's come back to our little bit of emulsion. That's all reducing there. And what we're aiming for here is a little bit of glaze. So that's almost there. Okay, over that comes. That's our little bit of a glaze. And then with your cannelloni, what I suggest you do is just slice off the ends. And just slice it off just until you've got complete mousse that you can see in the centre. And then there, I'm going to cut it on a slight angle, like that. Put that into your pan. A little bit of seasoning, just a little bit. And nutmeg. You don't have to do this, but I just love the flavour of nutmeg on pasta. Absolutely delicious. So that's all that ready to go. Get a spoon, give it a little bit of a baste, and that is all nice and shiny, ready to go. So, got my plate. Let's get the cannelloni. Let's just stand that up there. Let's get another piece just sat down. Like so. Then let's get our shellfish bisque. Again, nice little whisk, and you'll find the more you whisk it just at the edge, the frothier it will get. And then pour that bisque around your cannelloni. We're almost ready to go. Tarragon oil, like the same flavour as the pasta. Cut off the edge of your bag, and then see, as you pour it around, you get that lovely little floating just in the centre of your bisque. And there we go. Beautiful starter, I hope you enjoy. One of UB Chef's favourites now, this is our duck liver parfait, just in here. This has been out of the fridge now for about 10 minutes, ideally 10 to 15 minutes. You see that, it's got a lovely butter just set on the top. That's an orange flavoured butter. All I'm going to do, little tip, give it a very quick flash. Either with a blowtorch you can do it, or just ideally under the grill. And what this does is just kind of further softens the butter on the top and gives it a lovely shine. There we go, look at that. So you've got your nice shine on the butter. I've got my brioche in the oven now. That's my caramelised onion and thyme brioche. Then I'm going to take this lovely little blood orange chutney, put that on the top like so. Nice big spoon of that. Serve more on the table, of course, if you prefer. A little bit of seasoning. So put a few salt grains on the top. And then I'm going to get my brioche out. There it is, little individual brioche cube. Let's unwrap that. Again, just before it goes onto the plate, let's give it a little touch of rapeseed, touch of seasoning, and then I'm just gonna slice it serrated knife just through once like that. And there we go. How about that? Lovely little parfait to start off. Hope you enjoy it. Onto our bruschetta starter now. Let's open up our beetroots. My bruschetta is already in the oven, just in the paper. Put it in the oven for about 5 minutes. It won't dry out in the paper just until it's heated up. And then your beetroots, you see what we've got there? All cooked, salt baked these are. We've got some candy ones, we've got golden, and then we've got the red. But we send you the red just separated, so that they don't completely discolour everything when it arrives to you. So let's get the red ones, in there. And then what we'll do, a little bit of rapeseed oil just on the top. And they are salt baked, but they will still benefit from just a tiny little bit more on the top. Give it a little stir, just to make sure they're all coated. That's all ready. Then let's get our bruschetta out. There it is, you see, so it's all nicely wrapped up in the paper. Let's unwrap it. And then what we're going to do, we're going to build this bruschetta on the board. And that will ensure that you have a lovely, nicely presented bruschetta and you don't get the beetroots on your plate. So let's start getting the beetroots. Let's place those all the way across. Have some so that you almost kind of like go over the edge of the bruschetta. That gives it a lovely height. Try and mix the beetroots up a bit so you've got all different colours going on. There we go, looking beautiful already. Then, next we've got our goat's cheese. So this is Green Barn goat's cheese. Just give it a little mix in the piping bag, make sure it's all ready to go. And then I'm gonna cut my piping bag just at the top. Basically grip it in one hand, like that, at the end, and then use the other hand or your finger just to guide it. So pipe. See, I'm just piping some nice piles of that goat's cheese. There we go. Simple, isn't it? Keep going, a little bit more. I love this goat's cheese because it's not too powerful. And then what will go next is pesto. Again, this is rocket pesto. Give it a little stir, as it were, in the bag. Cut off the corner. And then again, you can spoon it out of the bag if you prefer. I just think this is nice and easy. Fold it over, and again we're gonna some nice little pipings of that, almost in the gaps where you haven't put the goat's cheese. Remember, all of these bags that we use, they go straight in the bin because they're all compostable, so nice and kind to the planet. There we go, nice bit of goat's cheese. And then what we'll do, take a spatula onto your plate. Finally, balsamic again, a little mix. Cut off the end, not too much, you just want a nice thin little cut. Fold the bag over, do a little tester just on your board, and then here we go. So keep it all central in some places, over in others. Look at that, looking lovely. Touch of rapeseed oil. There we go. A lovely restaurant beetroot bruschetta in your home. Really, really special bit of fish now. This is a butter poached halibut, nice piece of halibut just in there. Then we've got lime roasted cucumber. What we're going to do, I've got a pan of just simmering water here. Take over both the halibut and the cucumber. In they go, just onto the edge of the stove, back to the simmer, and I'm going to take it off the heat, just pop it there next to the stove, 8 to 10 minutes, that'll be all ready to go. Garnishes, so your gnocchi, it's just a little parmesan gnocchi just there, got some parmesan, a little bit of butter in, pop the lid back on, just loosely. That's going in the oven now, same amount of time, 8 to 10 minutes. And then when we come back, I've got my oyster sauce, which is just in here. This is an oyster and champagne sauce. I'm going to put that into the pan, literally going to bring it up to the simmer and then take it straight off. You don't want to overcook those oysters in there. And then that will be all ready to garnish our halibut when we're back. Right, I'm just taking my halibut out of a little pan now. The halibut and the cucumber, out they come. I've got my oyster and champagne sauce, just heating. Plate, the gnocchi, they're out the oven already. You can see them, see how they baked up really, really nice. I'm going to cut my halibut with a pair of scissors or whichever you prefer. Cut that out carefully. Have a little draining tray just to get that out onto the draining paper. Same as the cucumber. That's our lime roasted cucumber just there. And again, just be careful as you get it out because it will be hot. There we go. So they're all out on there. Bring our oyster sauce. Keep an eye on that. We don't want to overcook those oysters. Just before you plate it, just get a spoon and just any of that milk from around the halibut, which as it cooks can just kind of like sort of cling to it. It's just the milk from the fish. Sometimes you get a little bit on the outside. Just take that off, make your presentation bang on, and then a little bit of the salt on the top. Just going to spread those herbs out which we cooked it with. We've got some dill and chives on there which I'm going to serve with. Let's come back to our sauce. There we go, that's all ready. So let's take some gnocchi. Look at those lovely parmesan gnocchi. We'll put those, we've got 5 on there. So I'll get them all on the plate. Take a fish slice, little piece of halibut on the side. Then your cucumber, I'm just gonna slice it into 3 nice pieces of that. You've got a beautiful citrusy flavour of that lime. Then let's get back to our oysters now. First of all, drain the oysters and get some little pieces. A few on top of a gnocchi, a few on your plate. There we go. And then a little bit of that champagne sauce. I'm going to cut it with a little bit of rapeseed oil just to finish. There you go. Then the rapeseed, just little droplets here or there. That golden on the white, beautiful colour. There we go, that's it. Simple, simple cooking. Poached halibut in butter, gnocchi, roasted cucumber and oyster and champagne sauce. We've got a chicken main course now for you. Corn-fed chicken breast, all in here, lovely bit of thyme. We've already coloured it off for you, how about that? So you hardly have to do anything at all. Undo the chicken, put it onto a little bit of UV chef paper, which we send you in a box, like so. Get all that thyme around it. Tiny bit extra rapeseed oil just on the top, help it all to crisp up. That's going to go in the oven now, about 14 minutes. So, in that goes. Then the garnishes, let's take you through them. Braised carrot, all cooked again, coloured, really, really nice and tasty. Getting that ready there, that's going to go into the water, simmering water with a lid on. 6 minutes is all it needs. And then your garnishes. So how about this? Truffle bomb puree, which is just in there. All I'm going to do now is get that into my pan with a spatula, and I'm going to stir all that lovely grated truffle into the potato. And then we've got a little crispy cabbage, flash it in the oven, about a minute, that's all it needs. Touch of red wine truffle sauce into a pan, heat up on the stove. So I'm going to get all these garnishes ready to go now, and then we'll be back to plate up the chicken shortly. So I'm going to plate my chicken up now. My plate there, all heated up, wipe, and then the chicken is just here. So chicken's come out. I took my carrot out of a little sachet and put it onto the roasting tray just for the last 5 or 6 minutes of cooking, sorry, just to give it a really nice glaze. And then my truffle pommes puree is all heated up here. If the truffle pommes puree gets a little thick, just add a little bit of milk to it and that will sort it out. Then, to start off, take a spoon of mash all the way around, then we'll add that just onto our plate. There we go. Then let's get our chicken. Now you can add it how you like to the plate. I just like to kind of add a little touch of, sorry about the siren there, little slice through, look at that, tiny little bit of moulding on the top, and then let's just get the knife underneath, and let's just slice that. Look at that lovely piece of chicken, and you can see how juicy that is in there. Look at that, all the lovely kind of juices still in that chicken where we brined it. Then let's get our carrot. I'm just going to keep that nice and big, cut it once or through. Let's get a piece going through there, another one going through. My cavolo, crispy cavolo, just take some nice little pieces, just put those around, get a lovely flavour from this crispy cavolo, and it's literally, all it is just fried very, very quickly. If you do it at home, just be careful because it will pop a lot as it's in the oil. And then we'll go back, a little bit of sauce, that's just our truffle, chicken sauce, tiny bit on the top. Keep the sauce quite central, otherwise it will just kind of spoil your presentation where it will go down the edges of the plate. So nice little bit of sauce, serve more on the table of course, and that is it. Essentially a roast chicken, but just with that beautiful truffle pommes puree. Here we are with our squash arancini main course, vegetarian main course. Arancini here, you get 3 of those. Make sure you, before you bake this, just take out your sage tempura. There you go, lovely pieces of sage. They can get a little flash in the oven if you prefer, just at the end for about a minute, that's all they'll need. Make sure you take them out of the oven. So that is now going to go in for about 8 to 10 minutes. Make sure you don't cook them any longer because they will pop. Then all the lovely risotto rice will come out. And then just going to show you my garnish. Rainbow chard in here, which has all been blanched. It's got some sage in there, a little bit of butter. Keep the lid on, about 6 to 8 minutes in the oven. Very, very simple. We've got our sage, little squash puree just in here. You can put that in a pan or just simply drop that sachet into the pan of water, just at the side, really, really simple. And then we've got some nice little pickled shimizu mushrooms to add a lovely little bit of acidity on the top. Back soon to finish off. My arancini are all out of the oven now. There they are. A little bit of molten salt just on the top. And then as you take the lid off the chard, look at that. You just take those sage leaves out, which we baked it with. But you get that beautiful flavour. You've got the sage in there, you've got butter. Really, really nice. Our sage leaves come out of the oven 1 minute just to re-crispen them. They're all good. Let's cut off edge of a bag. This is our squash puree, nice and sweet. And then we're just going to pipe all of that puree into the centre of the plate. Get a spoon and just back of a spoon, so spin the plate, and then you can get that into a nice circle like so. Go back to our chard. Now we have kind of just steamed this chard, so it should be well drained already, but if it isn't, if there's a little bit of water in the bottom, try and like not spoon that onto your plate, because otherwise you're going to dilute all of the sauce. But get those nice leaves of chard. It's just rainbow chard, so you've got golden in there, like bright yellow colour. You've got the red chard and then the white as well. Little batons of the actual stem from the chard leaves. Wonderful crunch. And then we're just going to finish off those. Then let's go for our arancini. Let's sit them on the top, like so. One of my favourites, this is. Delicious seasonal flavours. Finish off now. Pickled mushrooms, these are shimiji mushrooms. Let's put a few on the top. And then just a few scattered around. Sweet squash puree, pickled shimiji, rich risotto in the centre. What more could you want? There you go. And then finally, let's get some of those little sage tempuras. Just add that brilliant little note to finish on. There we go. That's it. Straight to the table. Can't wait to taste this one. This is butternut squash arancini. A little take on chocolate fondant now. This is a caramel flavoured fondant, or Dulce de Leche. So inside, open it up, you've got your fondant there, all ready to go. That needs to go in the oven for about 14.5 minutes. Now basically it will rise in the centre, but you need a slight wobble on it. You don't want to cook it, overcook it, of course, then it will be rock hard in the centre. No one wants that. Put it onto your tray. That's going in the oven now, 14.5 minutes. I've got my timer up ready to go. When we come back, poached rhubarb. 'Tis the season for rhubarb now, so that's going to be just in my dish, ready to dress around. And in the freezer, I've got my creme fraiche parfait, which is going to come out at the last second. This is going in now, back shortly. So our Dulce de Leche fondant is just out of the oven. We rested it for literally a minute. Take it out of the dish, and you see all we need to do, a little quick turnover, like that. Take the paper just off the bottom, back onto the other hand, and onto the plate. Okay? There we go. So, let's get our little bit of creme fraiche parfait. That's just out of the freezer. Onto our plate. Then our poached pieces of rhubarb. That's forced rhubarb, lovely and pink. We've just poached them very, very lightly. Let's arrange them on the top, like so. Give them a little trim up if you want to just kind of get some smaller pieces happening. And then I'm going to use a touch of a syrup as well. That nice bit of height, and a little bit of that syrup just over the top, beautifully flavoured with rhubarb. And there we go. Get it to the table as soon as you can. Let your guests get into that lovely fondant. Really, really nice, rich, dark chocolate tart now for you. This is made with 70% Saint Domingue chocolate. It's rich, but it has a light sort of fruity note to it as well. That's going to go in the oven for just a minute. This is a ganache tart, so 1 minute. It's just going to soften it up a little bit. And then we've got banana fritters here. So let's undo them. Lovely little crispy banana fritters. We put some gruyere de cacao just on the top, just the outside of the cocoa bean. 3 minutes in the oven just to crispen them up, so they're going in first. Passion fruit seeds, passion fruit gel, sorry. That's going to complete the dish. Back in about 4 minutes or so, we'll put it all together. Okay, that's my chocolate tart all out there. Let's get that onto our board. Nice and careful about it's just softened up. See, that looks lovely and mirror finish on the top. Then what we want to do, just very, very carefully put that onto your plate. Banana fritters. I'm going to put those around. One just on the side. There we go. Let's get our passion fruit gel. I've just snipped off the end of my piping bag. Let's pipe a few little piles of passion fruit gel, whichever design you like so. Then finally, cut off that bag of those fresh passion fruit seeds, give it a little mix, and then just pour those around and just get that nice little crunch of passion fruit seeds. It's just going to cut through that rich chocolate. That's it. There we go. Lovely, rich, dark chocolate tart.